Trials of Osiris in D2 can be a fairly brutal ordeal, and that's even without all the cheating going on PC right now. There's a lot of people out there who struggle in getting to even 3 wins on any given weekend, and to those people I say, keep going. At least the good news for those who struggle is that we know the current reward system works in a way where you don't need to go flawless in order to get awesome loot from Trials. Eventually, Bungie needs to give better rewards and more incentive for players to go flawless, but again, for right now, getting weapons in Trials is not ideal, but doable. With that in mind, I want to give my own personal rankings for each and every weapon available in the Trials loot pool. That way, if Trials ever rolls around one weekend and, oh, looky, only 3 wins on your punch card guarantees a weapon that I've ranked stupid high, well, it's time to pull up those try-hard pants and go jump in the PvP mosh pit, in it. Oh, and of course, gotta bring this up before the rankings. Every time there's a weapon or a perk or a whatever ranking video, there's always a guaranteed handful of crazies in the comment section wanting me to choke on my own boxer briefs because I ranked X gun lower or higher than they think it should be. Well, to those people I say, sure, share your take on whatever weapons you find over or undervalued, but just know these are my rankings, and believe it or not, the world won't end if we have different opinions. Okay, starting in what I'm going to call low tier. This is bottom of the barrel Trials weapons, and for right now, there's just one single weapon in the category, the Tomorrow's Answer rocket launcher. Let's be clear, there's really nothing wrong with the Tomorrow's Answer, it's just that it fails to outshine a lot of competition in the rocket department and the power weapon category at large. It's like if you had a frozen burger patty in your freezer. Sure, there's nothing wrong with it and I'd gladly eat it, but what if you already had grade A fresh hamburger beef ready to go in your kitchen? There's no question, you would take that frozen hockey puck and chuck it right out the window. For example, take the Sins of the Past rocket launcher. Yeah, it might be old, but it has near identical stats. It's just as good. A 95 blast radius by default, identical base handling, and the Sins has just 1 less velocity than Tomorrow's Answer. If I'm gonna go into Trials and grind my newts off, I sure as hell want my weapon drop to be better than a year 1 gun by more than just 1 point of velocity. Not to mention, Sins of the Past drops with Cluster Bomb by default, whereas Tomorrow's Answer only has a 1 in 6 chance of dropping with that perk. Granted, Tomorrow's Answer can drop with a whole variety of other weapon perks, but none of them are tickling my fancy enough to make the rocket launcher a top tier pick for PvP. In terms of Crucible rocket launcher viability, you just want a fast shooting big booming gun, and the Answer does provide that, but again, so do a lot of other rocket launchers already. PvE-wise, rocket launchers ain't the current go-to option for high-tier DPS by a long shot. Yeah, rocket launchers are great on majors or low-level trash cleaning, but if you want high-end raid boss level DPS, rocket launchers ain't it. Ever since Bungie took weapon auto-reloading out of the game via the Titan Rally Barricade and the Warlock exotic Lunafaction boots, rockets have fallen hard from grace in the boss fighting department. Right now, grenade launchers, snipers, the Xenophage, and even swords are now usually considered better options for fast damage dealing. If auto-reloading ever makes a comeback, Tomorrow's Answer could theoretically rise way up on the PvE DPS weapon tier list, but for now, the weapon remains not all that special and not worth my time grinding. Now we're moving on to the mid-tier category. In this category, weapons are essentially nice to have and can fill a certain niche. I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to hunt for these weapons, but I would be happy to have any of them drop during Trials, provided they had the right weapon perks and a good overall weapon roll. First up in the mid-tier category is the Exile's Curse Fusion Rifle. Fusion rifles were kicked in the crotch pretty hard by their recent overall nerf, and the Exile's Curse feels those changes pretty bad being a high-impact frame fusion. In fact, there's only one reason I'm including the Exile's Curse on the mid-tier rankings at all, and that's because it can potentially roll with Celerity in column 4. If you haven't seen my video analyzing the Celerity perk in PvP, first of all, how dare you, and second of all, give it a watch, link in the top right corner now, but a quick summary is that if you play Trials a lot, Celerity is crazy good. Outside of being able to run Celerity though, the Exile's Curse is IMO heavily outclassed by the Erentil FR4, which despite getting nerfed, is still pretty damned effective. The curse drops with a default of 53 range and 61 aim assist. Compare that to the Erentil's 59 range and 65 default aim assist. The curse has better recoil direction and stability, but the Erentil's trump card is that you can farm it via playing Menagerie, the hands down best and most straightforward weapon farming method in the game. I really wish they would update Menagerie. They even let you pick the gun's masterwork in advance. If you're given the chance to farm for a fusion rifle, what are you gonna pick? An activity riddled with potential cheaters, sweaty loadouts, and teabagging jackasses? Or do you want to kick back with a little no-effort Menagerie, which gives a guaranteed double drop for your first few completions that week, along with guaranteed correct masterwork stats? Yeah, that's what I thought. Still, if you're playing Trials already and get one to drop, check to see if it has either Firmly Planted or Celerity, or if you're really lucky, both. Outside of that though, I'm probably going to be running my Erentil each and every time. Next weapon in our mid-tier category is the Scholar Kinetic Scout Rifle. It's a member of the high impact frame family, meaning it shoots relatively slow, but it does hit quite hard. The Scholar has some good things going for it. Because of its high damage output, it has an optimal time to kill of 0.8 seconds in PvP, provided you get 3 headshots, which is relatively fast. You gotta be accurate though, because if you land only body shots, you will be sitting at a brutally slow 2.0 seconds time to kill, which is plenty of time for the enemy you're fighting to both laugh and mollywop you. The Scholar comes with a bunch of viable perks for both PvP and PvE. In column 3, you could roll either Quick Draw, Full Auto, Opening Shot, or Slideways, all great perks by the way. Quick Draw gives you an insane weapon swap speed we love so much, and Full Auto makes pumping out shots way easier. Opening Shot gives you overall improved accuracy and range on the first shot of your attack, which is always appreciated, and Slideways can help you auto-reload your weapon without slowing down your movement speed, not to mention give you a short handling and stability buff. In column 4, you've got good options too, including Vorpal Weapon, No Distractions, Snapshot, and Celerity. Again, Celerity is one of the best weapon perks around, provided you are playing Trials. No Distractions helps reduce flinch as well, maybe not to the degree of Celerity, but the upside there is that you don't need to be playing Trials in order for that perk to activate. Snapshot provides the always beneficial lightning quick ADS time, and Vorpal Weapon can help you deal additional damage to enemies in their roaming super. As far as PvE weapons go, I really like Scout Rifles, and Vorpal Weapon's ability to also deal additional damage to enemy bosses is appreciated. If Scout Rifles had a more generous time to kill in the body and were a more forgiving weapon archetype overall, then the Scholar would likely be ranked higher in my eyes. But with the fast pace of the meta and the fact that Scouts aren't really ideal options on a lot of PvP maps right now, probably not going to be grinding out too many God Roll Scout Rifles anytime soon. The last weapon I got in the mid-tier category is the Eye of Soul Kinetic Sniper Rifle. The Eye of Soul is a member of the Adaptive Frame family, essentially meaning a medium rate of fire and medium damage for a sniper. It doesn't shoot the fastest and it doesn't hit the hardest, it's right there in the middle. The Eye can drop with a few good options. You've got Firmly Planted and Snapshot, both available in column 3. Firmly Planted gives better accuracy, stability, and handling when firing while crouched. I'm not suggesting you crab walk around with this gun, by the way, but you can activate Firmly Planted by sliding into it, and sliding happens all the time in high-level PvP. I slide around the map all the time when I play for no real reason. F it, why not? Having better accuracy, stability, and handling is no joke though, and can mean the difference between you landing a headshot or potentially missing. Snapshot, as we know, gives faster ADS time, and at this point it's a borderline mandatory perk on snipers for PvP. Nobody out there wants a slow, rusty, terrible ADS time on their sniper. It just doesn't feel good. In column 4, we got Vorpal Weapon, Box Breathing, Celerity, or Opening Shot. Opening Shot, as we covered, extra range and accuracy on that initial shot, which is great for snipers, because if you're good, you usually only need to fire off one shot anyway. Opening Shot can pretty much always be in effect in PvP on a sniper if you play it right, and it can help you get those headshots that you might have just barely missed otherwise. Celerity, once again, awesome perk if you plan on playing a lot of Trials. Yeah, you gotta be the last living member of your fire team for Celerity to turn on, but it's overall top tier IMO. Look at it this way, if you never have Celerity active when you're playing Trials, hey, good news, because that means you're winning all the time. And if you have Celerity active a lot, well then, good news too, you get to use your gun with Celerity. Win-win. Kinda. Box Breathing and Vorpal Weapon both serve one real purpose in PvP, giving you the ability to one-shot roaming supers. Vorpal Weapon just barely wins over Box Breathing though, as Vorpal requires no time to activate, whereas Box Breathing takes just a little over a second to turn on. With all these perks, you might think, why is the eye ranked in mid-tier? It sounds pretty good. Yeah, there's really only two things holding it back from being a top-tier sniper. Thing number one, the Beloved, and thing number two, the Revoker. The Beloved is an arguably better adaptive frame sniper, which can also drop with quick draw, and you can farm for it in the Menagerie, which, as we've gone over, is so much better for weapon farming than anything else in the game. And of course, the Revoker, which, although it does fire slower, can one-shot roaming supers in the dome without the help of any special weapon perk, and more importantly, the friggin' thing regenerates ammo when you miss. Don't need to tell you this, but ammo forgiveness is top tier on a sniper, and unless the Revoker ever gets a hard nerf, I probably won't be actively farming for the Eye of Soul. Finally, we come to the top tier of Trials of Osiris weapon drops. These right here are the weapons I'm usually going to go for, or cross my fingers for when turning in Trials tokens at the tower. First up is the Summoner Auto Rifle. I already liked this gun a lot before the hard light nerf, and now that the portable laser light show has had its effective range thoroughly neutered, the Summoner looks pretty hot. If you don't know, the Summoner is a 600 RPM auto rifle, which is the current PvP sweet spot. It's got a damn good optimal time to kill of 0.7 seconds, not to mention a bunch of great overall stats. You got 46 base range, a 47 stability, and a massive 73 base handling. For weapon perks, you've got a bunch of great options. Column 3 has moving target Zen moment and dynamic sway reduction. Any of those three is a fine choice to make landing shots on targets easier, and you've got a 3 out of 5 shot of getting any one of those perks. For column 4, you've got Elemental Capacitor, Rampage, Rangefinder, and Celerity. Elemental Capacitor isn't fantastic, but if you run a Void subclass, you get an automatic free stability boost on your Summoner, not too shabby. Rangefinder turns the Summoner into a really gross cross-map laser beam, and Rampage is an always great to have option for the additional damage factor. Again, Celerity, just a great overall perk if you play Trials. I really can't tell you enough how fun the Summoner is if you don't have it. Anytime it's up for grabs in the Trials loot pool, you should really go for it. Good range, good stability, great time to kill, not to mention it pairs really well with the number one weapon on our list, also in the top tier loot pool, the Astral Horizon Shotgun. No surprise, right? By all accounts, this weapon is a monster, and it performs well enough in PvE, but especially well in PvP. Aggressive frame shotguns are the go-to weapon type right now for Crucible, and the Astral Horizon has everything you would expect from a god-tier shotgun. High impact, obviously, because aggressive frame, high range, and more importantly, access to great PvP perks. In column 3, you've got Slide Shot and Quick Draw. Threat Detector can be cool, but it's really Slide Shot or Quick Draw that you should be gunning for. Slide Shot partially reloads while you slide, meaning you never really have to slow down in combat in order to reload, and it gives you a short boost to both stability and range. As I've shown before in past shotgun videos, Slide Shot is great and can be activated even if you don't need to reload your shotty for the range buff. In column 4, you've actually got great perks all around. Swashbuckler and 1-2 Punch are fun as hell in PvE. Both offer big damage output and are easy to activate. The PvP perks are what I'm looking for though, and the Horizon can roll either Celerity, which I think I've talked about enough already, but also Opening Shot. Opening Shot is proven to give you extra one-hit kill range on your shotties, which is so huge in PvP. Being able to give yourself that extra consistency is massive. It's also worth mentioning that the Astral Horizon is the only aggressive frame shotgun in the game capable of rolling both Quick Draw and Opening Shot together. With these two perks, you can swap to your shotty with blinding speed and put down an enemy from crazy far away. It is definitely worth mentioning that this shotty is already good on its own without the help of these perks, but the potential combination of both Quick Draw and Opening Shot make it an unquestionable god tier weapon. If you don't have the Astral unlocked already and it becomes available as a guaranteed drop in Trials that weekend, you should, in theory, be going for it, no matter how painful the experience might be. If it's ever available as a reward for winning just 3 games, you would have to be crazy to not play. Or you'd have to be a PC player, right? Because of,
Oh my god, what the—
Anywho, that is my official ranking for every weapon that can drop in Trials of Osiris. If Bungie ever adds more to the loot pool, I'll be sure to expand upon and update my list. Kinda seems like they would eventually add more loot too. They did in D1, and if they think we're gonna be content with the same old loot forever, they are out of their minds. If you found today's video helpful, please let me know by hitting the like button, and as always, the biggest way to help me and my channel out is by subscribing, and if you're an extra homie, by clicking the notification bell. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.